couple of night games to start this series. How about a Wednesday matinee? Pretty cold today, windy, and hopefully we won't get any rain the rest of the afternoon, but we're set for Cubs baseball here on WGN. Today, it's the rubber game. Mets winning Game 1, the Cubs shutting out New York in Game 2 last night. And good afternoon. Along with Bob Brenly, I'm Len Casper. Greg Maddux was tremendous last night, a combined 3-hitter for the Cubs pitching staff. And let's talk some offense. The outfielders with the power last night, 4 of them for the Cubs.
Well, that's usually where a team looks to get power, the corner infield positions or the corner outfield positions. In this case, Corey Patterson with his 8th home run, 7th and 8th home run of the season last night. Jeremy Burnitz also has 6 home runs on the season, and Jason DuBois with 4 of his own, along with Todd Hollinsworth. So a lot of power production from the Cubs outfielders. You know, the Cubs rotation has changed since the start of the season. Of course, Kerry Wood is on the DL. Ryan Dempster is now the closer. So the top of the rotation now, Pryor, Zambrano, and Maddux, and all 3 guys are pitching pretty well. Pitching extremely well. We talk all the time about hitting being contagious. Well, pitching can be contagious as well. One starter goes out there like Carlos Zambrano did, complete game effort, struck out 5 batters. Greg Maddux comes back last night. That's as good as we've seen him so far this season, maybe for the last couple of years. And Mark Pryor has been the most consistent of the starters this season, so we'll see what he does today following the tremendous outing by Greg Maddux last night. Victor Zambrano will start for the New York Mets today. He's a guy who will walk people. He threw well over 100 pitches in under 6 innings, so patience might be a virtue today. Well, we say that a lot about the Cubs offense. They have a hard time being patient, but Zambrano's a guy that if they can be patient, they'll get some great hitters counts. They'll get some base on balls. All right, first pitch coming up in a few minutes, but first, our national anthem.
In a singing and playing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Chicago Cubs baseball, brought to you by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here. The Illinois Lottery. No matter how you play the Illinois Lottery. Have a ball. Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball and the Chicago Cubs. Comcast. Catch the Cubs home games on WGN and HDTV on Comcast. Call for a great offer. And by Southwest Airlines. Non-stop service to 59 destinations all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom.
On the next.
Will and Grace.
Grace has to turn cheap into chic.
I've got $1,400 to do 5 rooms.
Please? How can I resist those sad, dilated pupils?
It's an extreme makeover.
What are you doing?
He told me to paint. I'm on my 2nd coat.
Not your nails, the walls.
Oh.
Not with nail polish, with paint.
Oh.
Next, Will and Grace.
Tonight at 6:30 Eastern on Superstation WGN.
All right, here's one. You're stranded on the island. Name 3 things that you want with you.
A beautiful woman, an endless supply of Bud Light, and oh yeah, another beautiful woman.
Hey, Sid.
When are you gonna paint
the hut?
Not until he builds
He
the
said he
raft.
could build the raft yesterday.
Girl, he
My
said
mama
that.
told me
Bring
not to
home
get
something
stranded
to
out here.
God, oh, I got to work on my fantasies.
Bud Light, fresh, smooth, real.
Now this is what I'm talking about.
It's all here.
Dad, what's up with that master? He's not moving.
He's not moving.
Once you try a tasty, fresh, toasted Italian BMT sub from Subway restaurants, you'll forget everything else.
I think he's dead.
No, he's not dead.
Welcome back to Wrigley Field. Carlos Zambrano's ready for this one. It'll be Victor Zambrano, no relation, for the New York Mets today. Wind howling out of the north. The temperatures for the first pitch, I mean, all over the map. 47 today, so it feels a lot like it did on Saturday. Oh, what a gorgeous night it was last night. So still pretty unpredictable here in the Midwest in May. And as always at home on the Superstation, this one being presented in high definition and Dolby Digital 5.1 audio where available. Gotta be at the ballpark today. And of course the sign is blocking the view just in case
good move.
Anybody's
Very good move
paying
right
attention. Now the Mets starting lineup. Jose Reyes went 0 for 4 last night, 1 for 9 in the series. Matsui Beltran, then the Chicago native Cliff Floyd, 5th in the league in hitting. Mike Piazza has started all 3 games of this series. Doug Mankiewicz at first. David Wright did not start last night with a bruised left foot. He's back in there. Victor Diaz, born in the Dominican Republic but grew up here in Chicago, and it's Victor Zambrano, the pitcher, to bat 9.
And here's how the Cubs take the field defensively, brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball and the Chicago Cubs. Jason DuBois getting his second start in a row in left field. Corey Patterson in center. Jeremy Burnitz in right. Jose Macias at third base today. Nafi Perez at short. Jerry Hairston Jr. at second. Derek Lee at first base, and Henry Blanco behind the plate for right-hander Mark Pryor. See the numbers on Mark Pryor this season. I mentioned at the top of the show he's been the most consistent starter for the Cubs this year. Over a strikeout per inning, less than a hit per inning. Walk total perhaps a little bit high for Mark Pryor, but he has really been throwing the ball well.
And the umpires, a crew chief Randy Marsh will be behind the plate. Vanover, Holbrook, and Wolf rounded out.
A scouting report on the plate umpire Randy Marsh. He's one of those umpires that will not hesitate to call strike 1 and strike 2, but doesn't like to ring guys up on a called third strike.
Well, Dusty Baker announcing before the game that Aramis Ramirez is day-to-day with back spasms. In fact, he was taken out of the game after an RBI double late in the ball game. It was in the 7th inning. So back spasms, didn't want to chance it today, and hopefully with the day off tomorrow, Aramis will be ready to go Friday in Washington. Macias at third and playing in against the speedy Jose Reyes. And we are underway. First pitch, strike at 89 from Mark Pryor. Again, 2-0 with a 121 career earned run average in 3 appearances for Mark Pryor against the New York Mets. You know it's a good night when you hit more home runs than the other team has hits. The Mets with 3 hits last night. The Cubs hit 4 home runs. Easy fly ball. It's going to get on a play down the left field line.
Boy, Maddox was so good last night. You know, he figures not to be the kind of pitcher to ever throw a no-hitter because he pitches so much to contact. Throws that sinker, throws the changeup, tries to get the other team to put the ball in play quickly. So he's the kind of pitcher that you would never anticipate throwing a no-hitter. But the stuff he had last night, if he was ever going to do it, it would have been last night. He was just amazing.
He was so hot last night he wore shorts into the ballpark today. So Maddox now with 307 career wins. 2-2 on Reyes.
Of course, Mad Dog has thrown a couple of one-hitters in his career. There's just certain styles of pitchers that it's going to be tough for them to ever throw a no-hitter. He throws so many ground balls. Some of those ground balls are eventually going to find holes.
Just missed, and it's full on the Mets leadoff man. Matsui and then Beltran. So 3 switch hitters atop this Mets lineup today. Mike Cameron getting the day off. A wind and the 3-2 and another foul by Reyes. Mentioned this last night. Jose Reyes did not walk in April. Not one free pass the entire first month of the season. His first walk came in plate appearance number 119. Another 3-2. Pop fly that is surrounded by Perez. Boy, you see the wind. I mean, Nathie went out and had to circle back.
You see those flags whipping out there in center field, pretty much blowing straight in from left field. Nathie starts back to where he thinks the ball is going to go and then has to turn around and come running back toward the infield to make the play on that pop-up. Really important to have a lot of communication today on those balls hit between the infield and the outfield.
Another switch hitter, Kaz Matsui. He looks at ball one. Mets come in 18 and 16. So they're 2 games over 500, but 4th in their own division. 4 of the 5 teams in the National League East are above 500. Only 1 team above 500 in the Cubs division, the Central. That's the Cardinals, who are 20 and 12. One pitch and a foul. Speaking of the standings, the Braves leading the division. Again, the Cubs are going to see the Washington Nationals on Friday in D.C., so they're off to a good start. And a 1-2 is inside. You'd have to say top to bottom. It's the best division in the National League. And you wouldn't think the Phillies are going to be a team that's going to finish below 500. Of course, Tomey and Lofton right now on the disabled list. But it's still very early.
Speaking of very early, the Mets' first 2 hitters in the lineup making Mark Pryor work extremely hard to get outs here at the beginning of the ball game. An 8-pitch at bat to start it for Reyes. 13 pitches total to the first 2 hitters. And he's not even done with the second one yet.
And yet another full count for Pryor.
Borderline fastball on the outside corner. Blanco just has to move his glove ever so slightly. Tries to keep the webbing of the glove in the strike zone to make it look better than it was.
Pitch number 15 of the inning. A swing and a miss and a strikeout. So 2 down with Beltran coming up.
Good low fastball right down below the knees. Our Southwest plain view camera, you see Matsui with that closed stance. He swings right over the top of that heater.
And here's Carlos Beltran, 1 for 5 with a home run against Mark Pryor. Well, you look at these 2 offenses, the top 2 home run teams in the league. You look at the pitching staffs, the top 2 strikeout teams. That strikeout for Matsui, the 38th strikeout combined in this series, and the teams have also combined for 8 home runs. One and one on Beltran. 8 for 17 his last 3 games. He crushes one, and this one's going to get out of the ballpark. Back over the light standard. foul territory.
You don't see many balls hit on Addison. That's over the first base roof, over the light tower, on the bus stop out there.
All of a sudden we'll see it come flying back over the roof. Well, a Met hit it. Ground ball to Hairston. And he will throw out Beltran. A 1-2-3 first for Mark Prior. Threw a lot of pitches. Cubs coming up.
Welcome to California.
We run.
We rip.
We fly.
We swing.
We believe. We believe in Nirvana. We rock! And we've got our own motto. So come on. Come on.
Come on. Listen to my wife.
Find yourself in California. Fly Southwest Airlines from Chicago Midway to select cities in California for just $79 one way.
You are now free to move about the country.
Hey, Bob here for Quiznos, learning about their new Choose 2 menu.
Well, Bob, for just $5.89 every day, people can get any small toasted sub and any cup of tasty soup.
Wow!
Or they can get an entree salad and any cup of soup.
Man!
Or they can get any small toasted sub and any side salad.
Really? Gee, and I'm stuck with the choice of warm or cold milk.
Introducing Quiznos' new Choose 2 menu. 2 great Quiznos tastes brought together for just $5.89 every day. Quiznos. Toasty.
Tony, most people want to get in better shape, but they just don't have the time.
Well, Stacy, what if I told you in just 3 20-minute workouts, only 1 hour a week, you can increase your energy levels, strengthen your heart, reduce your stress, and shape all the muscles of your body, all with one quality machine? Would you be interested?
Yes, I would.
Well, Stacy, I have good news.
Tell me more.
I just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico. Yeah, baby. You can do it.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Cubs will bat here in the first inning against right-hander Victor Zambrano. Let's check out Dusty Baker's lineup, brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball and the Cubs. Jeremy Burnett's cleaning up for the first time as a Cub. We mentioned Ramirez out of the lineup. Du Bois is back in there for his second straight start against the right-hander Jose Macias. In for Ramirez, and he's hitting 6th today.
Take a look at the Mets defensively. Floyd, Beltran, and Cameron across the outfield. David Wright, a late insertion into the lineup at third base. Jose Reyes at short. Matsui at second base. Doug Mitkiewicz, one of the best defenders in the league, at first base. And Mike Piazza catching a rare day game after a night game behind the plate for Victor Zambrano.
Corey Patterson with 2 home runs last night. He fouls this one back. 8 home runs on the year for Patterson, all solo shots. Zambrano 111 pitches his last time out, 5 2/3 innings in Milwaukee. Base hit to center. Good start for the Cubs here in the first inning.
As you mentioned, a couple home runs in the game last night for Corey Patterson. The first one, there was a little bit of doubt. Got it up into the wind to right field. Mike Cameron was dancing around the wall out there trying to find an angle to catch that ball. It ends up in the bleachers, but this one there was no doubt. Towering drive deep into the bleachers in right field.
Well, the Cubs with 4 home runs, 13 hits on the night.
Well, we should point out once again, Cubs figure to have their running shoes on today with Mike Piazza behind the plate. Zambrano does a fair job of holding runners close at first. But as we talked about throughout this series, you're not trying to steal on the pitcher. In this particular series, you're stealing on the catcher.
2 steps towards second and then held up as Perez took a strike. Piazza 4 for 31. Long pause by Zambrano. Throw to first.
And this is something we've seen in the first 2 games of the series as well. The Mets pitchers with a lot of pickoff attempts at first base, trying to vary their deliveries to home plate to try to slow down the Cubs' running game.
He had 2 hits in the ball game last night. Doubled, stole a base, scored a run. Patterson running this time. Fly ball left field for Cliff Floyd. Over toward the line. Patterson retreating to first. And it'll bring up Derek Lee, who's hit in 20 of his last 21 games. Talking last night about the matchup for Derek against Chris Benson. He went 0 for 2 to start the game against Benson, doubled in the 6th inning for his first hit in 17 career at-bats. And I asked him about it today, and he said he didn't know specifically that it was his first hit, but he did know that he had struggled mightily against Chris Benson. Is there anybody else that really stands out, a guy you've really scuffled against? And he didn't hesitate. He said, yeah, Russ Ortiz, and he's right. 3 for 30 against Russ Ortiz. Goes the other way this time, and it is slicing out of play. Wynn really pushing that ball foul.
You don't need to tell Cub fans this, but that's a perfect example of how Wrigley Field can play as 2 completely different ballparks from one night to the next day. Last night, the wind blowing out, that ball probably would have stayed fair down into the right field corner for extra bases. Today, with the wind blowing in, it easily reached the seats foul.
Swing and a miss, and Lee in the hole, 0-2. Zambrano just a guy who has really good stuff. There are days where his pitches are just moving all over the place. And again, he will have pretty high walk totals. He tied for the American League lead last year with 96 walks. But made just 22 starts, and Lee went around for the strikeout.
He's got a good sinker in the low 90s. Occasionally will approach the mid 90s on a good day when he's really throwing well. This pitch here, a hard, sharp, late-breaking slider out of the zone, and an occasional straight changeup, but tends to nibble a little bit around the edges of the strike zone, fall behind in counts, and as you said at the top of the show, 21 walks this season already in 32 innings pitched.
I mean, he was traded to the National League before the end of July, and he's still tied for the league lead in the AL in walks. Signed originally by the Yankees as an infielder in 1993. Good series for Jeremy Burnitz at the 2-run homer last night. Patterson running this time, got a great jump, no chance for Mike Piazza. He stole that one off the pitcher all the way.
Got a great jump that time. Where he was working on his lead over there at first base this entire inning, getting a little bit more and a little bit more, and finally got out to a point where he thought he could steal the base easily, and he was right. You get a jump like that as a catcher, you might as well throw it to third base. Make sure they stop at second. Huge jump by Corey Patterson.
Kick in, the 1-0 is outside. I was talking with Jeremy before the game, and he says, you know, just kind of in one of those modes right now, not feeling great at the plate. We mentioned he has 4 hits in this series. He said when he was a younger hitter, he'd go through stretches like this. He said he would just search and search and search. And I think as he has matured as a hitter, he realizes that, you know, he still gives himself a chance. And I was talking with Todd Hollandsworth about his struggles lately, and he says, yes, I definitely have pressed a little bit. And Todd said, I haven't left myself with any margin for error. And kind of on the flip side, for a guy like Burnitz, he's had a big margin for error this year. So even when he hasn't felt good, the hits have been falling. And he walks with 2 outs. Whereas in Hollandsworth's case, it's just that comfort zone hasn't been there lately.
And it does come and go over the course of a baseball season. You'd like to start hot and then endure the cycles as they arise during the course of the season. But when you're locked in at the plate and you feel good, I mean, there are times a hitter will take strikes because they're not exactly what they were looking for, not the pitch they want to hit. So they may take a strike early in the count. Big deal. No problem hitting with 2 strikes. And when you're scuffling, Every pitch looks like the nastiest pitch in the world.
Reyes scooting over to field that ball, gets it to Matsui in plenty of time to end the inning. Cubs lead 2.
Hey, how's it going? If Sarah wants to turn a cozy moment into the right moment, I want to be ready. That's why I asked my doctor about Cialis. Cialis is the only erectile dysfunction tablet proven to not only work fast, but also work up to 36 hours. 36 hours to be the guy she can count on. 36 hours to respond to her the way I want to when the moment is right.
Cialis is only for men healthy enough for sexual activity. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain or certain alpha blockers for prostate problems or high blood pressure, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Don't drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. Erections lasting longer than 4 hours, though rare, require immediate medical help. Discuss your health status with your doctor and ask if Cialis is right for you.
Sure, I did it for me. But it's not just about me, is it?
36-hour Cialis. When the moment is right, will you be ready?
Excuse me, do you believe your brokerage firm's advice is objective?
Sure. Their objective is to sell me something.
Well, he only calls me when he's got something to sell.
I made it my objective to do my own investing. So I switched to TD Waterhouse. Best move I ever made.
TD Waterhouse brings together free, independent research and third-party reports so you can make your own objective decisions. You can do this. Switch today to TD Waterhouse, the alternative to higher-priced brokers.
Mark Pryor worked a 1-2-3 first inning, couple of 3-2 counts through 18 pitches. He faces Cliff Floyd here in the second. Floyd 0 for 4 last night, 0 for 2 against Mark Pryor in his career. Yep, he's got some wet stuff this morning, but hopefully it's gone for the day. 2-0.
It feels right now like if we had any precipitation, we'd be out making snow angels later this afternoon. Very brisk afternoon here at Wrigley.
And again, coming after maybe the nicest night of the year. Last night, 2-1. Cliff Floyd, of course, went to Thornwood High. Actually signed a letter of intent to play collegiately at Creighton under Jim Hendry. But then the Expos drafted him in the first round, and Cliff decided to go pro instead. Of course, in the offseason, there were rumors that Cliff Floyd was close to being dealt from the Mets to the Cubs in a potential Sammy Sosa trade that never happened. 3-2. Speaking of Sammy, he is now on the disabled list with a staph infection in his left foot, so he will not face the White Sox this weekend. Only time the Orioles come to Chicago during the regular season. How about this? We have the DL All-Star team, including a couple of Cubs guys up the middle, second base and shortstop, and of course Kerry Wood in the pitching staff. Look at that list.
I'll take that team and take my chances right there.
And I'll tell you another guy you could put on the list, Tomey, I guess, beating out Jeff Bagwell, who just went on the disabled list. Tell you what, that was about our best shot at getting a foul ball up here in the booth. You have to hit one just perfectly to get it up here atop the ballpark.
Get it over the backstop netting, but yet underneath the roof to fit it into the booth here. It'll happen before the year's over.
Close pitch, and Floyd walks. First base runner for the Mets. Now send us an email, WGN Cubs TV booth at AOL.com. Here's Mike Piazza. Quiet night last night. Monday night hit career home run number 384. Number 364 as a catcher. He's the all-time leader among catchers.
Solid career numbers. 313 average, 384 bombs, over 1,100 RBIs. Playing the most demanding position on the field.
Pryor with the 0-1 pitch. There's a bouncer to Hairston, and it got under his glove. Floyd to third, Piazza at first. That's an error on Jerry Hairston, normally very sure-handed at second base. I don't know if he was thinking about the throw before it got into his glove. He had to run a long way to get it, but he did get there.
Yeah, he's shading up the middle on Piazza, normally a pull hitter, and I think he just took his eye off that ball. He was getting ready to do a reverse pivot to throw to Nathy Perez at second to start the double play, and just didn't stay down on the ball long enough.
So Mark Pryor will try to pick up his second baseman. First and third with nobody out, and it's Doug Mientkiewicz who had the game-winning home run in Game 1 off with Troy Hawkins. And the first pitch to Mientkiewicz is a fastball away. We had gotten several emails about the two Zambranos, Victor and Carlos, wondering if they are related. They are not related. They are both from Venezuela. Two 2-0 on Mientkiewicz. The pitch. Now 3-0. Mets really struggling with men in scoring position. One thing they have done is gotten great production from their bench. Their pinch hitters have been terrific this year. Talked about the home runs. Mets are second in the league behind the Cubs. And they're loaded. .33 pitches for Mark Pryor. Well, what do you say? Henry Blanco went out. I mean, could have been possibly a double play ball, at least getting one out, but the error by Hairston. And as a pitcher, you have to forget it and move on, but it's easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it is, and a lot of times all a pitcher needs to do is step off the back of that rubber, take a deep breath, take a look around. What do I need to do now? And I'm sure Henry reminded him, a ground ball back to you. You're coming to me at the plate to force that run at home plate.
There you go. Breaking ball strike on David Wright. We should also mention that Mark Pryor has been the beneficiary of a lot of great defensive work in his starts. Cubs defense has played very well behind him. A one-strike pitch fouled away. He has allowed one unearned run among the 12 runs that he's given up this year.
Well, obviously a strikeout would be huge right here, setting up the possibility of an inning-ending double play ball. Victor Diaz, the on-deck hitter, leads the Mets with 5 double plays grounded into this year.
The wind of the 0-2 pitch. It's high. Well, David Wright last July became the 129th third baseman in Mets history. Started last year at Double-A, promoted to Triple-A before eventually getting called up to the big leagues in the middle of the year. Great makeup. He's going to be a good one. But he takes a called third strike on a nasty pitch by Mark Pryor. Big strikeout for him, one down.
Good breaking ball, late sharp break, just freezes the Mets third baseman up there at the plate. That's the strikeout you need. Now you need a ground ball off the bat of Victor Diaz. Boy, tough pitch to hit, tough pitch to take. Right on the corner at the knees.
So the local kid comes home, Victor Diaz, to Roberto Clemente High. Again, born in the Dominican Republic, but grew up in Chicago. And played a lot in the first month in right field with Mike Cameron on the DL. And he's done a nice job this year. This is his 25th start in right field.
Back-to-back breaking balls to start the sequence. Falls behind 2-0. Dangerous hitters count right here. Make a quality strike. Stay out of the middle of the plate.
His first at bat as a big leaguer here in Wrigley. And he fouls it back. As a 15-year-old, he played in the city final here at Wrigley. Clint Barmas off to a great start with the Rockies. Pitcher is on deck, Zambrano. Here's the pitch. The drive to right. Burnitz is back. That ball is slicing. And it's going to be off the fence. Couple of runs are going to score. Floyd is in, and Piazza right behind him. Victor Diaz returns home and doubles in 2 here in the second inning. The only good news is it didn't get out.
Another very odd looking fly ball to right field. Jeremy Burnitz turned around and started sprinting back toward the warning track. So he kind of came down and across that ball, put a lot of slice spin on it. Started out in straightaway right field, ended up over there about 15 feet fair off the door. It's going to make it tough for the right fielder to track balls off the bat of right-handed hitters today. The way that wind is pushing everything towards the right field foul line. You get to fight your own instincts and go where you think the wind is going to push that ball rather than where you think it's going to go off the bat.
So while Victor and Carlos Zambrano are not related, they're both from Venezuela. They're both switch hitters. Bunted foul right at the plate.
And as you mentioned earlier, Victor Zambrano was originally drafted by the Yankees as an infielder. And as you might expect, he handles the bat pretty well. He can get down a bunt. He can put the ball in play. 4 for 13 on the season with a couple of RBIs.
2 for 10 as a left-handed hitter. A 1-1. One bunted foul as well.
Yeah, those are not squeeze bunt attempts. He's trying to bunt for a base hit. I guess you could call it a safety squeeze. If Doug Mientkiewicz, the runner at third base, sees the ball down in fair territory and thinks he can score, then he comes on down the third baseline. But if the ball's bunted back to the pitcher or bunted hard at the corners, then he holds his position there at third base.
That double by Diaz, a first hit for the Mets. 1-2 inside. Next pitch, and he chased one. So Pryor and out away. And getting out of this inning with no further damage, and he'll face Jose Reyes. Reyes popped to short to lead off the game. He's now 1 for 10 in the series. And the pitch to Reyes, a little bit low. Mets will have an off day tomorrow, just like the Cubs. They'll return to Shea Stadium for a weekend set against the St. Louis Cardinals. How about Saturday's matchup at Shea? Mark Mulder against Pedro Martinez. No, it's not the A's and the Red Sox. The Cardinals and the Mets. Hairston gets another chance. Handles it flawlessly. The error hurt the Cubs in this inning, however. 2-0 Mets.
You won't find it in the files, believe me.
So you fired a pistol at him?
I'm afraid Mr. Mallory's dead.
I gotta have the name, Carolyn. I'm looking for someone who committed a murder.
All I'm asking is that you let me look through the files of Jason Carter. I might stumble onto something that you missed.
He was there with these two men.
Just one more thing.
You do your job. Don't worry about how I'm gonna handle mine, okay?
This portion of Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by CarQuest. 3,600 CarQuest Auto Parts stores across North America.
At CarQuest, our people go above and beyond the call of duty to help the technician working on your car by supplying them with superior service and only quality auto parts. Like Champion's Copper Plus plugs with zirconia enhanced ceramic for better performance. Top this off with a 2-year unlimited mileage guarantee and you've got a winner. Install Champion spark plugs no matter what you drive. With nearly 4,000 stores and over 130,000 CarQuest parts to choose from. We'll be there when you need us. CarQuest, the professional choice.
Welcome back. For the perfect blend of heat and flavor, use Frank's Red Hot. Most other hot sauces are more about the heat. Frank's Red Hot, the only one with red hot flavor.
Before Jake's granny passed on.
They were having sex and she died.
She got it on.
Ruth was very special to me.
Next, Becker.
Man, my nana was home.
Tonight at 11 Eastern on Superstation WGN. If a Cubs player hits a homer today, write down the distance and player's name and send it to WGN TV. You could win 2 round-trip tickets to any Southwest Airlines destination.
Home half of inning number 2. Cubs down 2-0. Check out our WGN baseball blog at that address. Brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. As Jose Macias takes a strike. I answered some of your questions and comments on the blog today. Always love the feedback, so keep it coming. Ground ball to Reyes at short. All right, great comment here from Steve Marlowe in Highland, Indiana. And he writes, the foul tip is something that I believe 95% of people don't know the real definition of. Could you explain the term foul tip? Most believe it is a foul ball that is tipped, which is totally wrong. A foul tip is a batted ball that is hit directly into the catcher's glove. Steve, that is a great post. I'm reading from the rule book as Jerry Hairston stands in. A foul tip is a batted ball that goes sharp and direct from the bat to the catcher's hands and is legally caught. It is not a foul tip unless it is caught.
Look, if it's not caught, it's just a foul ball.
It's just a foul ball. And I know I've been guilty of saying it the wrong way. So, Steve, I will hopefully never get it wrong again. But that's a great note.
Well, it's kind of like if a batter hits the ball and it bounces off the warning track into the stands, and you call it a ground rule double. That's technically incorrect as well. It's a book rule double.
Right.
A ground rule is something that's unique to that particular ballpark. But every ballpark has the same rule about a ball bouncing from fair territory up into the stands. So it's a book rule double. But it doesn't sound as good as a ground rule double.
And you know, you hear the fair pole, foul pole. It's, come on, it's a foul pole, right? I understand what, if it hits it, it's fair, as Hairston gets plunked. No intent there. We mentioned it. Zambrano can get wild. That's the 6th batter he's hit. And a base runner for the Cubs.
I agree with you. I doubt if there's any intent there whatsoever on the part of Victor Zambrano, but that's up there between the numbers. It sounds like he just missed a little bit right there. He threw that ball behind Jerry Hairston. Very cold day. You can see Zambrano as well as Mark Pryor blowing on their hand out there on the mound on cold, windy days like this. The umpiring crew has the discretion to allow the pitcher to blow into their hand to try to keep their fingers warm so they can get a good grip on that ball, but Sometimes when you're peering in for that sign and the wind's blowing, you kind of lose the feeling in your fingertips just a little bit, and especially when you throw a breaking ball, it's not unusual for it to get away the way that pitch did.
Pitch 2, Blanco is a strike. The other one that I get aggravated with is when people talk about runs batted in, RBIs. They say, you know, he has 52 RBI. And then you say, well, why didn't you put an S at the end saying RBIs? They say, well, because it's runs batted in. Well, I said, well, why don't you say RSBI then? It's RBIs.
We know what you meant.
Yeah. There goes Hairston. Fly ball center field. And coming in, Beltran, and it's going to drop. So Hairston made the right move. He went back a couple of steps, but stayed near second. The way Henry hit it looked like he was going to go all the way out to Beltran, but the wind just absolutely stalled it, and he ends up with a bloop hit.
Carlos Beltran is a very good center fielder, and even he is struggling with the conditions here. You saw him freezing his tracks out there in center, and then comes on in a full sprint and cannot get there. Kaz Matsui, the second baseman, gave up on that ball awfully early, considering the way the wind is blowing. You would think the infielders would go out until they hear an outfielder call him off today.
First and second, one out. Pryor going to try to lay down a bunt, and looks at ball one.
Runners at first and second. Mark Pryor's goal here is to bunt that ball down the third base line, keep it away from the pitcher, and force David Wright, the third baseman, to come in and make the play. Of course, the only time that changes is if the Mets happen to put on the wheel play where the third baseman charges, shortstop breaks to cover third base.
And right into himself for a foul ball. 1-1.
That's third baseman coming in to let his pitcher know exactly what they're going to do defensively. Sometimes you'll start the sequence playing it straight up, traditional defense with the third baseman laying back. And then as the sequence goes on, you'll decide to go ahead and charge the third baseman, try to get that lead runner at third base.
Balk. And a balk called by the first base umpire, Larry Vanover. So second and third, so that changes things now.
You'll see him step on the rubber there. He'll start his hands and then stop and then try to step off the mound quickly before any of the umpires notice. But 4 sets of eyes on you out there. It's tough to get away with that one. Plus, you're standing on the highest point on the field. It's not like you can hide out there.
1-1 on Pryor. Middle infielders back. Really everybody back. Right in a little bit at third, and then Kavich even with a base at first. Here it is. Away from Piazza, but out in front of the plate, so the runners will hold.
Big break for the Mets right there. That is a power sinker that hit in the dirt out in front of home plate. Piazza just tried the backhanded stop, and fortunately for the Mets, it hit him and stayed out in front of home plate.
Big leg kick, 2-1, tap foul. Make it 2-2. That's with a couple of runs in the top of this inning. 1 earned, 1 unearned because of the Hairston error. Two-two pitch, and away from Piazza. Hairston will score easily. Blanco to third. It's 2-1. So a balk and a wild pitch. How about Hairston hit by a pitch, and then went to second on the bloop single. Balk to third, and the wild pitch allowing him to score.
Instant offense. Slider out there in the dirt. Piazza tries to shift and get in front of that ball just a tad late. wasn't able to square up his body, so when that ball did hit his chest protector, it ricocheted to the right side rather than dropping straight down in front.
3-2 on Pryor. The Mets infield now in with Blanco at third. Pryor draws the walk. Good at bat for Mark Pryor. First and third, one out. Let's step aside for station identification.
This is Superstation WGN, where sports is always in season.
Rob Brenly, Len Casper, and our WGN sports crew from Wrigley. Rick Peterson, the Mets pitching coach, is going to head out. Oh, we had a shot of Willie Randolph earlier. The Tribune had a great note. I guess Willie Randolph, in an interview with the in-flight magazine of American Airlines, was talking about his first Mets game. And he said it was around 1971. Quote, I took my wife to be. They were playing the Cubs, and I remember Billy Williams hit 3 home runs that day. My wife knew nothing about baseball. All she knew was that Billy Williams was cute. So Willie Randolph with his first Mets memory. First year as a manager of the Mets, he has 6 World Series rings, 4 of them coming as a coach under Joe Torre with the Yankees. Second baseman, played 18 years in the big leagues. Patterson bounces it right to first. Minkevich steps on the base. The throw to Piazza, can't find the ball. And it's tied 2-2. Really was tailor-made for the Mets, but Piazza could not handle the throw from Minkevich.
Boy, the ball leads Minkevich right to the bag. He steps on the base, throws home, and in the dirt behind Piazza, who tries to make the backhanded pick and swipe tag and just can't come up with it. Minkevich was trying to argue to first base umpire Larry Vanover that perhaps Corey Patterson interfered somehow with his throw to the plate, but you could clearly see Corey ducking out of the way into foul territory. Yeah, he didn't do anything wrong at all.
So 3 unassisted and an RBI for Corey Patterson. It's 2-2. While Pryor is at second, and he will try to score here. He better hurry. Here's the throw from Beltran. It goes up the line. 3-2. Neifi Perez with the RBI single.
Always questionable to send your starting pitcher on a play like this, but I think Chris Spire did the right thing. Beltran, look how far to his left he has to go. Gather his momentum, try to get off an accurate throw to home plate. It tails way up the line at third base, and Pryor scores easily. Good base running by Neifi Perez as well to advance to second base here with 2 outs in the inning. Finds himself in scoring position for Derek Lee.
You love to score runs, but you love to score them the way the Cubs have in this inning. You mentioned the hit batter, the balk, the wild pitch. Mark Pryor walking to get on base. So the Cubs with the lead now. Is outside. I've been told by several longtime Cubs fans about Jack Brickhouse used to talk about there are 9 ways to get a runner home from third with less than 2 outs. I think the Cubs have used just about all those ways to do it here in the second inning. The 2-1 to lead. Did he hold up? Yep. Hey, hey. A lot of great Jack Brickhouse stories. And Lee gets the walk, so this inning continuing. And Billy Williams.
Well, he is cute.
Really enjoying this one today. Jack Brickhouse called a lot of Billy Williams home runs. Zambrano has walked 3 here in the first 2 innings. He's hit a batter. Burnitz fouls it away. Here's a pitch. 0-2. Du Bois on deck. If he bats, it'll be the 9th Cub to hit in this inning. Cubs have only 2 hits in the inning, but they've scored 3 runs. Swing and a miss to end the inning. Cubs strand 2, but they score 3, and they now lead by a run.
Hey, watch this.
You want some of this? You like banana?
Oh, good. Yeah. Here, take it seriously. Go. Give me that.
Bud Light, fresh, smooth, real.
Give me that. Come on, give me.
It's all here.
I've worked for over 15 years. I'm proud of that. But without insurance, we don't get regular medical care.
Millions of hardworking Americans live without health insurance. Together Rx Access can help. Sponsored by 10 top pharmaceutical companies, Together Rx Access saves eligible people up to 40% on prescriptions. And it's free.
I don't need a handout. I need peace of mind.
Call 1-800-444-4106 today.
Now improved Roundup Plus. Its faster formula knocks out weeds in 12 hours. The leading imitator doesn't. Now improved Roundup Plus knocks out weeds in 12 hours.
Well, now, where's the fire, boys? Oh, fresh toasted sandwiches. Well, get those babies home before they get cold.
Fresh toasted sandwiches from Subway restaurants.
I'm hungry. You hungry?
Sponsors of Greg Biffle and Car 16.
And we want to welcome to the booth Tim Mitchell, Chicago Park District General Superintendent and CEO. The Cubs making a pretty big announcement today. Kaz Matsui will bat against Mark Pryor. Get you that announcement here after the first pitch. Cubs lead 3-2. It's a strike. Cubs announcing today a commitment of $500,000 to save famed Thillen Stadium, home to a rich history and tradition of youth baseball in Chicago. Congratulations, Tim. Great to see you.
Oh, thank you very much, Bob. It's a pleasure to be here, and we're so appreciative of the Chicago Cubs for their $500,000 contribution today.
Another error by Jerry Hairston. That's his second. And Matsui reaching here in the third.
A tough error this time. Hairston going up the middle, just a routine backhand play, backhand set and throw. Probably could have taken one more step over there. You could see as he